Hello everyone, this is Shatrupa and welcome to Campusmonk. And in today's video, we will be looking into actual questions that were asked by Deloitte. And once you read the question, you will realize that they are not difficult to solve, but they actually want to see how optimized code you can write. Okay, so that is a very challenging thing to do when it comes to an online assessment, and we are exactly going to see all the questions. Just a heads up that we are going to use only Python and Java. So I'm going to write down the code in Python right in front of you in this video, but I am going to have a pre-written code ready in Java. So I'm not going to write in Java. So if you guys have any doubt in Java, do let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, if you understand the code pretty good, I've tried to keep all the comment lines that I thought were necessary, as well as I have tried my best to write a very simplified code, and I'll explain you how the code actually works. And for students who are going to use C, C++, C Sharp, or any other language, you are open to the explanation. Definitely the code will have a different syntax, but the logic remains the same. So try executing it on your own. If you fail, if you miss, then let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to share you the codes. Okay, but for the video we are going to stick to Python and Java, right? Next thing that is, I'm going to discuss just one question having three different forms, right? Like the first one being the brute force, then the a little simplified, and then the optimized one. But for all other questions, I'm going to directly work on the optimized code. Okay, so if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. And next, if you don't want to miss out on anything important or such more videos, definitely check out the description. We still have our Sankal batch running, so please go there, enroll yourself, and we have live classes, mock tests, and a lot more coming your way. Okay, so without wasting further time, we are going to get started. But before that, since these are actual questions that have been asked by Deloitte, I want you guys to pause the video, think about the solution that you will approach. Okay, definitely the first solution that will come to our minds is always brute force, but remember, the questions asked by Deloitte are not hard level, they are easy to medium at max. So they always want you people to write an optimized code, and that is how the data structure is set, that is how their answer solutions are set, that the computer is going to scan and you're going to be marked on. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get started with the first thing. So yeah, here we have 4 questions in this video, but you will only get 2 coding questions. Okay, so let's get started. This is the first question. Please pause the video and read the question yourself. Try to understand what it is saying, solve it, and then we'll hop on to the solution. Okay, so the question says that given an array ARR, one second. Okay, so it says that you have been given an array ARR of size M, and there is some integer num that has been given to you. Okay, now what are you supposed to do? Your work is basically to write a program that will print the total number of unique pairs of that integer ARR. So, whatever is the total pair of this, like whose sum is equal to the given number num. So, what is it basically saying is, suppose let's consider this a solution. Okay, so it says there are 4 size M, so your M is 4. Okay, and this is your ARR. Your ARR is equal to 2, 2, 4, and 5. Okay, now it says there's a variable num that has been given over here that is equal to 6. So you have to find unique pairs. Okay, you have to find unique pairs that have such combinations that sum up to 6. Okay, so what will be one such pair? It will be this and this, right? It will be 2 comma 4. What will be other pair? It will be again 2 comma 4. So this is same. What will be the other one? It will be 4 comma 2. Okay, but there's a constraint given for you that a comma b is equal to b comma a. So it's not unique. You have to consider it to be a single thing. So whether it is 2 comma 4 or 4 comma 2, it is one pair only. Okay, so that means how many unique pairs could you generate that adds up to this sum? Only one. So your output here, you can see it's only 1. Okay, got it? So this is how you will solve this question. Now, if you think about this question is not difficult. Is it difficult? No, it's not. Can you do it simply? Yes, you can. If you try the brute force approach, okay, you are going to basically have multiple loops, and that will sum up to your n cube. Your time complexity will be big O of n cube. Okay, but we'll see how we can solve it on an optimized way. Let's look into the other example that is given. Okay, so again, my m is equal to 6, my ARR is equal to 2867872. Okay, and my n or num that I want is equal to 10. Okay, so I want a sum of 10. So what can I add? I can add these two. Okay, one set will be that. Can I add any other number? Yes, I can add these two. Okay, I can also do 8 plus this 2 or 8 plus this 2, but nothing else will add, right? But again, remember the constraint that these two are same. Okay, that was the thing. So I'll consider this as only one pair. So there's only one, exactly one pair from this array that will add up to the sum of 10. So that is why my output is 1. Okay, now talking about a brute force approach. Okay, talking about the brute force approach, what will happen? The first thing is that it's simple to generate all possible pairs using two nested loop, and if they add up to the target value, then what will you do? Then for each such pair, whether this pair already exists in the list or not, you're just going to check that and you're going to return it. Okay, so but in that case, what will happen? Your your time complexity will be n cube. Okay, but if you want to slightly optimize this, okay, what do you see over here? This set is not sorted, right? This is not sorted. Now, if I sort this, okay, if I sort this, what will happen? I will know that I can then use a two pointer, right? Whose sum will basically always keep reducing or increasing depending on the values that I'm traversing on, right? So I can definitely use sorting. So this n cube will come down to big O of n log n. Log n for sort, and since you have n elements, so n times you have to do that. So that is why your time complexity will come down to n log n if you are using sorting. Okay, but we can further optimize this, and what will we do? We'll maintain a hash map to track how many times that each element has occurred in the array so far, wherever your I is. Okay, so what will you do? You will traverse through all the elements, and for each arr of I, you will check if the complement, that means you already have this target value, right? You already have this target, so you will do target minus arr of I. Okay, and if this already exists in your map, the hash map that you will create, then you have found a pair whose sum is equal to the target, right? So that is all you have to do. You can always use a map. And what will happen to the time complexity? Map will only use time, right? Just to create it. Once that is created, you can do a lookup, you can do a search, peek, anything in constant time, right? So that is why what is the most optimized solution to this is using a map. Okay, so if you again think about this, the code question is not difficult, right? It is not at all difficult. It is a simple thing. You can definitely do it using brute force, you can do it using sorting, right? But you guys will stop at sorting, right? Don't do that. Think about it. Can you further optimize this? Can you use something like a map or a set? Now, understand, since it's Deloitte, it's very important that you see the question from Deloitte point of view. They'll be simple to medium. They want to be complex question, but they want an optimized solution. How can you use an optimized solution? Always think about maps, sets. Okay, these are few things that you can use optimized solutions. Okay, so let's check out the. I'm going to discard this. We'll check the solution for this. Okay, in Python. So how can we write this? So the first thing that you are going to do is to let's create a function. Say we'll call this count distinct. And do you want me to add pairs? Fine, fair enough. Let's add pairs. Okay. We'll do ARR, comma, and what do we have? We have our target, right? Or you can also call that num, whatever you want. Okay. So now my result is equal to 0 and my n is equal to the length of your ARR. Okay. The first thing that you're going to initialize is a frequency map that will keep track of all the frequencies of the elements. So how do you define a map in Python? Just like this, right? You call this dictionary, you call it map, it's the same thing. Okay, now what you're going to do is that you're going to find the complement of every element I in this range of n. Why? Because n basically has all the element, that is the length of ARR, right? So you're going to do n. Now let's calculate, let's call this complement minus uh actually, why do we directly do it? Don't do it. So it will be target minus ARR of I. Okay, because we already have the target value, right? Now, once you're done with this thing, what is your next step? Now you're going to check if the complement is equal to your ARR of I. Okay, then if that's the case, there should be only one occurrence of that complement in the hash map. Okay, if it exists, if it's equal to that, it should have one occurrence of the value, right? So you're going to check if your complement is equal to your ARR of I. Okay, Then again, what will you do if your frequency dot get, what will you get? You'll get complement, comma 0 should be equal to at least once. It should have occurred at least once, okay, in the map, inside the map. Then you will do result set is equal to result plus 1 because result is initially initialized to 0. You're just keeping the track of frequency. Remember, you are not returning. You are not returning the values. You are returning how many times that pair is occurring. Okay. You're just doing that. So once you're out of this, you will come out of this if, and here what we'll check, it will check that if that is not equal, now that is not equal, then there should be at least one occurrence of the complement and no occurrence of the current element in the hash map. So what will you check? So this will not be if anymore, this will be else if. So you're going to check else if the frequency dot get, and what are you going to get? You're going to get the same thing, complement comma 0 is greater than equal to your 0, and your frequency dot get, what will you get? You will get ARR of I, okay, because ARR of I does not exist in the map is equal to your 0, okay. If it is not existing, then again you will increment your result set. Oh, what is happening? Result set by 1, okay. Now once you are done with this, come out, and what will you do? Finally, you are finally going to say frequency of what? Of ARR of I, right? So that should be equal to your frequency dot get, and what will you get? ARR of I comma 0 plus 1, okay. Finally just return your result, okay. Now once you're out of this entire thing, what are you going to print? You are going to print your result, okay. Now this question that I'm going to do, I'm going to take direct input. I want you guys to work on this as a user input and then see how it goes, okay. Suppose let me do it something like this, okay. Now I'm going to call this ARR, that is equal to I actually forgot what my values were, so let's check this. Okay, that was 2245, okay. So we'll have 2 comma 2 comma 4 comma 5, okay. And our target was set to be equal to how much? 6. Yes, so that is 6, okay. So now if we, let's connect this first, okay. Now what are you going to do? You're going to call this on print, you're going to basically call it on count distinct pairs, and that's it, okay. So yeah, that is working, okay. So you see the value here is, your output is correct, it is 1, right? So if you match back to this output, it was 1, okay. So similarly, what I want you guys to do is to improve this. I want you to improve this to a user defined function, all right. So we'll move on to the next question. Let's see that. Right. So it says that Kitty, who is a kindergarten student, went to mall on his birthday. He found an interesting number game where n numbers are displayed on the screen, and he was asked to type in the numbers as many times as he wanted, and the frequency of the most repeated number will be displayed on the screen. He wanted to display his favorite number, but he missed his chance and came back to you asking for a scan of list of numbers available on the screen and print the number he needs to type so he can win, okay. So basically it's just a story to confuse you. It is telling you that you need to print, let me go on my slide mode, okay. So it is telling you that you need to basically print the numbers. You need to print those numbers whose frequency, like it says that it is going to print the frequency of the most repeated number, okay. So that is only question. So basically you need to see which number is being most repeated, and you need to just print its frequency. That's it, nothing more than that, okay. So in Python you can actually do it very simply, so we'll see that. Oh, I guess I did not show you the Java code for the previous question. So let's look into the Java code first. I'm sorry, my bad. I completely forgot about the Java part. Okay, so here also you're doing the same thing. Basically, you're going to take, I've taken hash map. and hash I've taken hash map and just maps. So if you want, you can simply import util dot star. Okay, so this is distinct pairs, and the same thing you're doing. Okay, you're creating a hash map. This is exactly how you create a map in Java. Okay, so you're calculating the complement, and then you're checking if the complement is actually equal to the value. That means it should be present, right? So its occurrence it must be there at least once, right? Otherwise, if it is not present, and there should at least be one occurrence of the complement but no occurrence of the element. So in that case, what you're doing, it should be complement should be greater than 0 and the ARR of I should be equal to 0. Okay. So you will still be increasing your result count. Okay. And you add that to the thing. Now this is a different set of numbers. Now if you want, we can change that to what we had. I guess it was 2 comma 2 comma 4 comma 5, and this one was 6, right? So let's run this and see. Okay, so the output is 1, which is correct. All right. So again, try changing this into user input and then use it. Okay. All right. I'm really sorry. From next time, I'm not going to skip the Java ones. I forgot about the Java code completely. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we were talking about this question. So, I'll just go up over here. And so, it is basically saying you to calculate the frequency of the most repeated number that was displayed in the screen. Okay. So, if you look into this example, what is it actually doing? It's saying 1 and 1. These numbers have occurred just once. Okay. Except 1. 1 has occurred twice. So, it has printed the frequency of the number that has occurred most number of times in the array. Okay. So what did it do? It is just counting the frequency. Similarly here, if you see, all the number has occurred less than 4 except 0. 0 has occurred 4 times. If you consider 69, this has occurred thrice. If you consider 77, this has also occurred thrice. If you consider 788, this has occurred twice. Okay. So if you consider 9, this also I can see only twice. Okay, like that. So the goal is to find the most repeating number, okay, and count its frequency. And print what? You print the frequency of that most repeating number. So what will you do? You will basically keep a counter that will keep incrementing, right? And you just print the frequency of that number. Okay. So you can do this simply using a map again. Now, there can be brute force to this, and there can be an optimized way, that is using maps. Like I have mentioned earlier in the video, I will not be discussing brute force for all the question. We'll directly look into the optimized solution that should be using a map. Okay. Now for any question where I take direct input, try taking user input and solve that question. Okay. So we'll directly jump onto the code now. Okay. So this will be a new code, and the first thing that you're going to do is I am going to take an input. Let me call this numbers, and this will basically be a list, but we'll store it as a map of what? Integer comma integer. Okay. Actually, no. Just one input, right? Yeah. Okay. So just integer. So we can take input over here itself, and I will just add one statement so we know how we are entering it. You don't have to do that because you cannot write any statement when you're giving an online assessment. Okay. No statement for taking inputs. Okay. So enter number. I'm just going to put it up as an information separated by space. Okay. That's it. Once you are done with this, what will you do? You will do dot split. Okay. Now, this is done. So the next step is, again, you have to calculate the frequency, right? So to do a frequency, we need a map. So we'll use a frequency. You call this a dictionary or a map. That's completely up to you. Okay. Now, very simple. What will be my first step? Sorry. It will be for num in numbers. So I'm basically going to iter over everything to just see how many times they have occurred. So I'm going to call this as frequency itself. So we just used it. So frequency of your num is basically equal to how much it is. I'm using a direct function, so it will be frequency dot get num comma 0, and what will you do? Plus 1. Okay. And finally you come out of this for loop, and what will you do? You will print what? You are going to print your frequency, right? Your output. So that is it. So I'm going to just say, call this output just so that we know. And what will it be? It will be the maximum of whatever frequency you had. So map frequency dot values. And since this is a function, I'm just going to do it like this. So we are going to run this. What were the numbers? It was 1, 10, 31. It was 1, 10, 31, 54, 161. Okay. So that's it. The output is 2. Okay. Why? Because 1 has occurred twice. So you're basically printing the frequency of the max occurring number. Okay. Similarly, if you had to solve this in Java, how would you do it? So again, hash map, I've imported scanner also. You can just import dot start, just import everything. You don't have to think about so much. Now, this scanner class is to take input. So you're just taking your string input of whatever you want. Okay. And then you are creating this same map. Okay. And in that, you're just parsing all the integers and counting the frequency. Okay. Now, in order to count the maximum frequency, you're initializing a maximum frequency to 0 and you're running that loop. Okay. And your max frequency is basically your max frequency comma count, whoever has the highest thing, and you're finally returning your max frequency. Okay. So we will run this, and the numbers were 1 comma 10 comma 34. I don't remember, I'm just adding random numbers. Okay. 154 62. So the answer is 2 because again 1 has occurred twice. Okay. So definitely, what is the time complexity of this whole code? The time complexity of this whole code is basically big O of n. Okay, because we are using hash maps, may that be Python or Java, you're using hash map, and the time complexity is only for the frequency that you're storing, that you're using. Okay, because once you have created that map, you don't have to do anything else. You can just access every value and everything in constant time. Okay, so here your time complexity is big O of n, right? Let's move on to the next question. Now, so in this question, it is a pretty simple and straightforward again, but do you see the catch? So far we have solved two questions and they are directly asked in Deloitte. These are Deloitte questions. I have not framed them, okay? So the questions are straightforward, but every time they want you to write an optimized code. Okay, so here it says that you are given a list L of n numbers. Print the sum S of all the checksum of element after eliminating the minimum and maximum digit from each element. Okay, now what is a checksum? A checksum is a number of the sum of all digits of the number. A number should be considered as 0 if there are no digits after eliminating the numbers. Okay, so we'll look into this thing. So, okay, in the previous two questions, you must have seen that there are no input format given, but usually they give it. I haven't added it, but yeah, here I have added it again. So they give you the input format. Okay, so don't worry about that. That how will I know what's the maximum, minimum, what is the input format? So they'll give it to you. Okay. So here is the number of elements that you will be entering. This is your array value. Now, how did you arrive at this? So 1, 2, 2, 2. What is the maximum number and minimum number? This is 1 is the minimum, max is 3. So you have to remove these two. What will you be left with? Only 22. Then what is the next one? 243. What is the maximum? This and this, right? So what are you left with? 3 after removing these two. The next one is 3, 4, 4, 5. What is the min? This, max, this, remove these two. What are you left with? 44. Next, it is 456. Max is this, min is this, remove these two, you're left with 5, right? Now, how will you do a checksum? So it is basically telling you to do 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, and in case after you remove, so suppose the number is this, you remove this, nothing is left, so you'll consider that to be 0. Okay, that is what was mentioned. So now if you add all of these, it's equal to 20, and that is your output. Okay, so this is an explanation given. So if there are complicated code, they'll give you with the explanation as well. Okay, so okay, that's just one sample input for this. Now again, you what can you do over here? You can definitely use your maps, right, to put it up in your list, and then just keep iterating over it. So once your map is built, it is always going to take big O of n times. Okay, so here your time complexity will be little different. I will not call this big O of n, but what will I call this? Now how many numbers do you have? You have n integers, right? So this is the number of elements on the list, and how many digits do you have? So maximum number of digits in one number can be d. So what will be your time complexity? Instead of big O of n, we'll just say the time complexity will be n times d. Okay, where n is the number of elements in the array and d are the maximum number of digits in the number. Okay, the maximum number of digits in the number after you remove it. Okay, sorry, not after removing the original. So elements are 4 and number of digits, maximum number of digits is also 4. So your time complexity will basically be big O of n times d. Okay, so it will be slightly different, but you won't call that big O of n, and it's a good time complexity. It is not bad. Okay, so we'll see how we code this in Python, and then we'll see the Java thing as well. Okay, so let's go back to our Python code. Okay, so again, this is a very simple thing. So, how do you exactly take an input in an online test is something like this. You won't write any statement like I did over here. No statement, no enter numbers, because it's computer who's going to do it. And if they fail understanding and processing your number, so your statement, then as it is, your test cases will fail. Okay, so often they do mention this thing that do not write any statements. Deloitte mentions it. I'm not talking about any other company, but Deloitte does mention it. Do not write any statements. Okay, so next one will be your numbers. So what will be a number? It will be a list and it will be a map, right? So you will have map. Now what will be this map? This will be of string type and we'll take an input and we are going to split it. Okay. Now my total sum will initially be 0. Okay. Now you are going to run your loop. So it will be for num where in numbers. Okay. In the list that you just created or took input from. Okay. In this, what are you going to do? You're going to create digits, and this digits will basically be a list of your map. Okay, and it will have int comma the num. Okay, the particular num that we have. Okay, now what are you going to check? You're going to check that if the length of the digit is less than equal to 2. Okay, that means no digits remain after removing your min and max, where you have to consider that constraint of 0. Okay, so I'm going to take that if length of my digits, okay, is less than equal to 2. Okay, then what will you do? You will simply continue. Nothing, do nothing, just continue. Okay, now what is your min digit then? Your minimum digit is equal to your minimum of digits, right? Similarly, your max digit is equal to your maximum of digits. Now, if there is a maximum number in between, here it was pretty sorted, right? It was like 1, 2, 3. What if you had 1, 3, 2? Then it will still remove 1 and 3. It will not remove 1 and 2. Okay, it's not removing first and last. It is removing minimum and maximum. Okay. So what are you going to do? You're going to do digits dot remove. You will remove your min digit. And you will also do digits dot remove. You will remove your max digit. Okay. Now, once this is done, you're going to do your total. Did I call it sum? Yes, total sum is equal to your total sum plus sum of digits. Okay, now you'll come out of this if, and here you're going to return your, what will you print? You will print your total sum. Okay, so let's run this and we'll take the values from here. I actually forgot. So it was 4 and then it was 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3. Then it was 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 5. And then the next one was 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. Okay. So if you hit enter, the output is 20. Okay. That is exactly the answer, 20. All right. So we will look into this code over here. Okay. So again, here I haven't imported like one single thing, but I've imported everything together. So you have your scanner in, you're taking n, all right, and then you're taking input for the strings. Okay, now this digit, okay, this is the basically you're converting the number to digit. Okay, so you're checking if the size of your digit is less than 0. Okay, that means basically nothing is remaining. You need to add 0. So how will you write that? You will just continue, right? Similarly, you will find your min digit, max digit, and you're going to remove your min digit and your max digit. Uh, Remove your min digit and max digit, and finally do the sum. Okay, that's it. It's the same code but in Java. So I'm going to just move this up. So I'm going to prove 4, then it is 1, 2, 2, 3, then 3, 4, 5, then I don't remember. Was it 3, 4, 5? It was probably 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 4, 5, then 4, 5, 6. Okay. Yeah. So it's 20. Okay. The next question. So we'll see the next question. I hope that you're understanding these questions and you see that these questions are not difficult to solve. They just want you to write an optimized code. And I've already given you the time complexity for this one. So the time complexity for this one is basically big O of n times d, right? Where n is the number of elements in the array and d is the maximum number of digits in a number. Okay? All right. Moving to the next one. Now, this is the last question that I have for this video. It says that consider a string str of lowercase alphabets. Write a program to find the resultant, which is performed by performing the below given steps. Okay, so the first one is for each letter of ch in str. If ch is a vowel, the resultant binary to string b must be concatenated with 0, else it is 1. So for vowels it is 0, for consonants it's 1. Okay, now print d, where d is the decimal equivalent of the binary b. So that means take this input zoo. Okay, these are all in lowercase. Okay, so doesn't matter, but it's like maintaining a standard because you're just going to convert it into binary. It's not ASCII calculation, so lowercase uppercase doesn't matter, but they have just given it to be standardized. Okay, is z a vowel? No, it's a consonant, so the value will be 1. O, is this a vowel? Yes, so value will be 0. Is this O a vowel? Yes, so value will be 0. Now this is your binary B. What is the decimal equivalent of 100? It is 4, right? So your answer is 4. Sorry, not binary equivalent, decimal equivalent of 100, that is 4. So if you see, Z is a consonant, so it will be considered as 1. For both O's, these are vowels, it will be considered as 0. So you get 100 in your binary. So your output is 4 in decimal. Okay. Now, similarly, they have this. So X U U A B. So this is 1. 0 0 0 1. Okay, so now if you do this, this is 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power 4. 2 to the power 4 is 16. These are all going to be zeros, and this one is going to be 1. So 16 plus 1 is 17, and that is your answer. Okay, so again, if you see, then this is not a complicated question. Is it a complicated question? Ask yourself. No, it's not. It is absolutely simple, right? Now, what is your time complexity in optimized method that we are going to do? Your time complexity here in the optimized method will be big O of n. May that be time complexity or space complexity. Both are big O of n. Okay. So we'll see how we can do this. We'll do it very simply. We'll just define a function and we'll just convert it. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. Okay. So I'm going to discard this and we go back to our code. So let's see. Let's write a new code. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is to define a function, and let's call this string to binary, string to decimal, not binary. The final output is in decimal, and we are passing str, right? Now, what are your vowels? Your vowels are equal to A, E, I, O, U, correct? And what is the rest of the, we don't need to consider consonant. We can ignore that, okay? We just need binary. So we'll have something called as binary string, which will be set to null. Okay, now what you're going to do, you're going to do that for ch in your str that is already given. Now what you're going to check is that if your ch is in the vowels, right? If it is in the vowels, then what you're going to do is your binary str will be basically binary str plus equal to, what are you adding? If it is a vowel, you're adding 0, right? So you will add 0. Else, what are you going to add? You're going to make it as binary str is equal to what? It's 1, right? Now, once you're done with this, okay, you're coming out of this, you're coming out of this for as well, and you're going to say your decimal number is basically nothing but integer of binary str, that is the string, that's the variable, comma 2. Why is it written, why do we write 2? Because if we don't write 2, it will have a value called as ob before the decimal. We don't want that ob, it's of no use to us, so we'll remove that. So we want it from the index 2, because it's going to start with 0th index, first index. So 0th will be o, first will be b, and then it will be the actual binary numbers. So we want it from index number 2. Okay, and you are going to return your decimal num. Okay, now it's the same thing, but I'm going to change this input. So it's going to be your strip dot, it said lowercase, so make sure that you follow that standard. Okay, so I'm not going to print it like this, we'll do it differently. So we'll say our result is equal to string, I'm calling that function. Okay, and I'm going to pass my str, and finally I'm going to print my result. All right, so let's run this. Okay, I forgot the thing, it was zoo. Okay, so you see the output is 4, right? Similarly, we'll see this for the Java as well. So again, you're taking your input. Okay, do not write this statement. All right, so it will convert, this line will convert it to lowercase. Then you're going to loop through all the letters. If that is a vowel, you're going to append a 0. If it's not a vowel, you're going to append it to 1. Okay, then you will just convert that binary to decimal again from the second position, because it usually has that 0b or ob, whatever it is called, in the start. So we don't want that in our answers. All right, and at the end, this is the condition that we have written to just to check that these are the vowels. Okay, that's it, nothing more. This is a function that just checks that the character is called a vowel if it is a, e, I, o, u. That's it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run this. So let's enter the string, that is zoo. Your output is 4. All right. I hope that you have understood these questions. Now, if you actually think about it, then these questions are not difficult, right? These questions are pretty simple. May that be this first question, second question, third, or the fourth. All right. All you need to do is to write an optimized code. And when it comes to optimizing, keep it as simple as possible and see if you can actually code it using your hash map, hash set, or anything of that sort, right? I hope that you found this video helpful. I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep learning and thank you. And do not forget to check the description for the link to the Sankalp batch. Bye bye.